Good, happy Tuesday evening. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Tuesday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Tuesday evening, so let's get started right now. First up, we're going to begin with a check of the weather with meteorologist Matt Honing. And meteorologist Matt Honing is saying another hot day before we see relief. Let's go to that full weather forecast from meteorologist Matt Honing and see when we'll see that relief from the hot weather that we've been dealing with. I am sure ready for the hot weather to be over with. What about all of you guys? Let me know. So let's go to meteorologist Matt Honing right now. Good evening, Matt.
Our son was born with cerebral palsy. We know what the healthcare industry is like. So I passed a ban on surprise medical billing and fought to lower drug costs. Because this...
Parts of southern New Hampshire are adding an 8th straight day of 90-degree temperatures. Look at how hot it has been in Concord since last week. We've had multiple days, even in the mid-90s. We may tack on one more before the day is over with. Temperatures this afternoon near 90 in the lower Merrimack Valley, over into the Rochester, Durham, and Dover area. There may be a very feeble sea breeze that keeps Portsmouth right around 90 or even in the upper 80s. Elsewhere today, temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. We're introducing more clouds, especially up north, and the chance for some wet weather. There may be a spot shower or thunderstorm even in central and southern parts of the state through late this afternoon and this evening. Clouds move in tonight as winds start to turn more out of the north and northeast. And look how much cooler it is tomorrow morning. Heading off to work, it will feel like an entirely different world out there. We have not seen this in quite some time. Temperatures start off in the low to mid 60s. We'll have some low clouds, perhaps some pockets of fog and drizzle. And there may be a few scattered showers as the day goes on for your Wednesday. Temperatures only reach the upper 60s up north, low to mid 70s elsewhere. Finally, this cold front is set to move through our area by early tomorrow morning. That is why we are expecting much cooler conditions in time for midweek. But it still stays a bit muggy on Wednesday. We'll have to wait for this next little disturbance to swing through on Thursday before we finally introduce some more pleasant conditions. By the way, this little disturbance may touch off a few scattered showers and perhaps a rumble of thunder on your Thursday. So there you have it. Near 90 yet again for one last day. It's much cooler tomorrow. Highs in the low to mid 70s, more clouds, and perhaps a few scattered showers. Thursday looks nice. We'll see some sun return, another shower or storm possible during the afternoon. Full sunshine on Friday and very comfortable air with high pressure staying in control through the weekend. I think we'll keep things dry around these parts with temperatures staying seasonably cool in the upper 70s to right around 80 degrees.
Okay, thank you for that, Matt Honing, and can't wait for that relief of weather beginning tomorrow. And now, let's get to your news. First up, Vladimir Zazovsky found not guilty in crash that killed 7 motorcyclists in Randolph. Zazovsky faced negligent homicide and manslaughter charges. A truck driver has been found not guilty of manslaughter or negligent homicide in connection with the death of 7 motorcyclists in a 2019 crash in Randolph. It took the jurors about 2 hours to reach the verdict on the 15 charges Vladimir Zazovsky faced. Zazovsky faced 7 counts of manslaughter and 7 counts of negligent homicide, in addition to a charge of reckless conduct. He was found not guilty on all charges. As the verdicts were read, Zazovsky gasped, looked upward several times, kissed his hand, and pointed up before taking off his glasses and crying into his hand. Several family members and friends of the victims were in tears as they left the courtroom. Jurors received the case shortly before noon Tuesday, and the verdict was read at about 2:40 p.m. The judge previously dismissed charges of manslaughter and negligent homicide that alleged Zazowski was impaired at the time of the crash. The remaining charges related to accusations that Zazowski was acting recklessly at the time of the crash. Zazowski has been in jail for the past 3 years as the case moved through the court system. He left the courthouse in a sheriff's department truck and was taken back to the jail for the night. It's unclear when Zazowski might be released. Correctional officials said Zazowski was served an immigration detainer issued by the Department of Homeland Security and will be held on the detainer for DHS. In a written statement, Governor Chris Sununu called the verdict a tragedy. The fallen seven did not receive justice today, and that is an absolute tragedy, Sununu said. I share in shock the outrage and anger that so many have expressed in the 3 years since the 7 members of the Jarrahheads Motorcycle Club were taken from us. My heart goes out to those families, friends, and loved ones on this especially dark day. Attorney General John Formella said in a written statement that he believes prosecutors proved their case. Our hearts go out to the victims and their families, he said. Our trial team did an excellent job, and we firmly believe that the state provided its case beyond a reasonable doubt. Mr. Zazowski should have been found guilty of the charges in this case and held responsibly for causing 7 deaths of numerous injuries. We thank the court and the jurors for their service, and while we are extremely disappointed, we respect the verdict and our system of justice. Massachusetts officials confirmed Zazowski's commercial driver's license is disqualified and his passenger license is suspended. Before closing arguments were delivered Tuesday morning and out of the presence of the juror, the defense moved to dismiss the charges or have the judge override a verdict of not guilty, arguing the state hadn't proven the case beyond a reasonable doubt. That motion was denied. Defense attorney Jay began his closing argument by placing the blame for the accident squarely on the lead motorcyclist of the Jarrahheads Motorcycle Club, who was killed in the crash. The defense attorney said the motorcyclist was drunk and drifted over the center line and into the path of Zazowski's truck. The defense attempted to discredit witness testimony, especially from the Jarrahheads, pointing out inconsistent in their testimony, including how much people had been drinking that day. From the beginning of this investigation, the state made up their mind about what had happened. Evidence be demanded, the defense attorney said. They came to enormous conclusion about how the accident occurred. Within 24 hours of the accident, it didn't even pretend to conduct an actual investigation. Prosecutors said it was clear who caused the crash, saying Zazowski's fault was corroborated by the testimony of eyewitness and the words of the defendant in an interview. In his own words, he said that he crossed the line just a little bit. He made sure to clarify just a little bit. And then he hit those motorcyclists that were right there, he said Assistant Attorney General Scott Chase. You'll have that interview. Go through it again. So again, Zazowski found not guilty. Bus driver accused of stalking, threatening 8-year-old New Hampshire boy. Affidavit alleges bus driver deemed boy take pictures of himself. In Elliott, Maine man who worked as a bus driver is facing federal interstate stalking charges related to an 8-year-old New Hampshire boy and his family. Officials said Michael Chick, 40, has been under investigation since April, but they said the alleged stalking and grooming of the boy had been going on since last year. According to an affidavit, the child was on Chick's bus route. Investigators said the inappropriate contact started with gifts, candy, and get well card, and then escalated. The boy's parents complained to the school district after Chick asked if he could come to their son's Little League game, according to the affidavit. In July, the child's parents discovered cell phones in the son's bedroom, and the 8-year-old admitted Chick gave him the phones, officials said. A forensic extraction of the data revealed call logs and bus surveillance video and audio captured threats Chick allegedly used to scare the boy when he resisted taking photos of himself and sending them, saying if he didn't take photos of himself, a gang would kill his family. A search warrant executed on Chick's Chevy Malibu uncovered a butthole-style surveillance camera, tracking devices, a large baggie of children's underwear, and handwritten notes to the child, including instructions on how to take the photos, according to the affidavit. Investigators said the instructions included what to wear and how to pose. Chick's older brother, Jerry Chick, said the house was raided last week. He said he's frustrated that the charges were made public before the family was notified. These are just allegations, he said. I could make allegations about you. First Student Transportation released a statement to that said Michael Chick is no longer employed with the company and that such behavior is completely unacceptable and at odds with what we stand for as a company. Because the alleged crime happened in 2 states, Chick is facing federal charges. At a news conference Tuesday afternoon, U.S. Attorney Jane Young said the investigation is still in its early stages. We are trying to determine the scope of conduct in this case, Young said. A hotline has been set up for people to report any pretent information about Chick or other incidents. Young urged anyone with information to call 603-722-1751. She said the hotline is being staffed by the Department of Homeland Security and called it the most effective way to get information to investigators. Dartmouth alumnus in town for a commencement dead after being found injured on rocky embankment. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
A heart attack? He was 47. What about Janice and the kids? Do they have life insurance?
No.
But we have life insurance. John, we agreed. You were going to take care of that.
I'm trying to find something we can afford.
Call Select Quote now and get the insurance your family needs at a price you can afford.
In minutes, Select Quote found John a $500,000 policy for only $29 a month, and his wife Anne a $500,000 policy for only $21 a month.
At Select Quote, we comparison shop some of the most trusted insurance companies in America to find you the best rate. You need life insurance. You don't need to overpay for it.
Call 1-800-398-5566 or go to selectquote.com now and get the insurance your family needs.
At a price you can afford. Select Quote. We shop. You save.
Hanover police are trying to piece together the moments that led up to a 24-year-old's death early Sunday morning. Dartmouth College identifying him as 2020 graduate David Gallagher. Police say first responders got a call and found him with traumatic injuries near the Ledyard Bridge that runs over the Connecticut River.
It's a very rocky, steep terrain. It's often inaccessible to walk in on foot from the roadway from Hanover.
That difficult terrain forced first responders to use a boat for the rescue. Police say Gallagher died after being taken to the hospital. Now the moments leading up to his injuries are under investigation.
There's been situations in the past where people will go congregate in that area during the warmer months in the summer. So particularly that is under the investigation at this time. We don't exactly know.
Gallagher wearing the number 15 Dartmouth jersey on the lacrosse field. A successful player all 4 years at school. Now the Dartmouth community mourning the loss of a life gone too soon.
It's a very unfortunate event for somebody like this to be visiting Hanover, celebrating a big achievement. And our prayers go out to the family and wish the best for them.
That was Marissa Tansino report.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man accused of killing, kidnapping suspect turns himself in, Vermont police say. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Vermont homicide suspect is now in custody. Bennington police say Raul Cardona of Springfield, Massachusetts, turned himself in yesterday. He is due in court today. Cardona is charged in connection with the murder of Patrick Mullinex. Before his death, authorities say Mullinex and 3 other men abducted and assaulted multiple people in a separate kidnapping case.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. UN sounds alarm as missile fell around nuclear plant in Ukraine. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Protecting nature begins with you. Defend the natural world you love by donating to the Nature Conservancy.
Now to the escalating concerns about a potential nuclear disaster in Ukraine, with missiles falling around Europe's largest nuclear power plant. The UN is now sounding the alarm. Britt Clennett has the latest.
This morning, the U.S. commits another $1 billion to help Ukraine defend itself against Russia's invasion. The package includes more ammunition for U.S. HIMARS artillery systems, howitzers, Javelin anti-tank weapons, and armored vehicles, bringing total U.S. aid to Ukraine to over $18 billion since the war began. This as fighting in the south intensifies, with the United Nations condemning the recent attacks around Europe's largest nuclear power plant.
Any attack to a nuclear plant is a suicidal thing.
Ukrainian officials warning that if the nuclear reactors at the plant get damaged in the crossfire, the fallout could be catastrophic.
There will be huge consequences, not only for Ukraine, probably all Ukraine will be contaminated, but for Europe as well.
Experts say a disaster there would have massive repercussions for Russia as well.
The way the winds blow, a lot of this, like in the Chernobyl disaster, would go into Russia itself, contaminating hundreds, maybe thousands of square kilometers of Russian territory.
Russia and Ukraine pointing the blame at each other for the attacks. The Russian Defense Ministry releasing images they say shows the aftermath of the strikes. Ukraine claimed Putin's forces have intentionally planted explosives at the site. President Zelensky accusing them of nuclear blackmail. Michael, Russia says the plant is in safe hands and it will protect it from attacks, but Ukraine's nuclear agency telling us they've also stepped up measures in case of a crisis. Michael?
All right, thank you, Britt.
Well, hey there, GMA fans.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. That does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Have a great Tuesday evening. Good night and goodbye.